Attraction marketing is so powerful on social media, but is the most overused term and the least understood term because there are tons of people out there claiming that they're teaching attraction marketing, but they're not. So what is it exactly? And how can you use it in your favor? Then if you start layering on value-based marketing, if you truly understand these two terms, your business can explode. So in today's episode, we're doing things a little bit differently. Normally you see me interviewing various guests and bringing you value. This week, someone actually interviewed me on how to break down and decode attraction marketing and value-based marketing. So let's jump in and have a look so that you can explode your business this year and be one of the few people out there who truly understands what attraction marketing actually is. Let's do this.
My name is Karen Kokeny, and I'm your host for this summit. And I'm so incredibly pleased to introduce you today, my esteemed guest, Adrienne Hill. Adrienne, welcome.
Hi, Karen. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here with you. I'm excited about this one.
Well, great. We're excited too. And I'm going to tell our listeners a little bit about you, Adrienne, just so they know who we're listening to today. Adrienne Hill built a career in corporate America, managing multi-million-dollar launches for Fortune 500 companies. She now channels that experience into helping new and emerging entrepreneurs to build the skills, structure, and systems that they need to create six-figure businesses. Adrienne is passionate about helping coaches, course creators, and network and affiliate marketers to make the smartest use of their limited time while they build their income to the point where they can make their business their primary focus. When she's not working on her business, you can find Adrienne hiking, fishing, traveling, or having outdoor adventures with her husband, adult children, and her golden retriever puppy. Let's welcome again warmly, Adrienne Hill.
Hey, everyone. I'm so excited. This is such a fantastic topic for a summit because let's be honest, I mean, we all spend the majority of our time building our businesses on social media, don't we?
We sure do.
So without the marketing piece, it doesn't happen. So this is foundational. This is a really great topic. So I'm excited to dive in with you guys.
Great. And that topic is the content multiplier method to 30x your content. That's got me curious, so let's dive in. So yes, let's do that.
Awesome.
And so what are the marketing strategies? This is so much about marketing. So what are the marketing strategies that are working right now for people to generate new leads on social media, Adrienne?
Yeah, great question. So what I see working the best right now, and the great news about this answer, this is kind of like this is so foundational that it's working now, but it will continue to work as well. So it's not like a flash in the pan strategy that's like here and gone. It's a fundamental strategy. So that's the good news, right? So what I see working best right now is a mix of attraction marketing and value-based marketing. So if you're using one or the other, you're going to have success. But if you figure out how to bundle the two and pair them up, that's when things get really, really big.
Okay, so marketing strategies that are working now involve attraction marketing and involve value-based marketing. So let's dig deeper into what each of those is. So first of all, what is attraction marketing for our listeners today?
Yeah, and this one, like, I don't know about you guys. This to me feels like one of the most overused words out there, yet the least understood at the same time. And it's because tons of people tell you that they're teaching you attraction marketing because they know it's a popular term, but they're not, right? And so it creates a lot of confusion. So let's unpack that and let's get the confusion out of the way because it is a very overused word, but yet it's critical. Like you do have to get this right. So attraction marketing at its core relies on the power of curiosity. Okay. So if what you're sharing generates some sort of curiosity, right? Where like it grabs someone's attention, it grabs their interest, it speaks about an outcome that they want, right? Or a future state they want to live in. And it talks a lot about what that is, but not how to get there.
Yes.
Right? If you give them the what, but not the how, it naturally will raise some questions in the audience's mind. And you want them asking questions, right? You want to plant that seed of curiosity. You want them asking questions because what happens, right? We all know that social media algorithms, they reward, regardless of platform, like regardless of where you spend the most of your time, they reward interaction and engagement.
Yes.
Right? It could be likes, it could be comments, it could be sharing gifts, it could be, sharing emojis, like it doesn't matter. If someone's engaging, it gets boosted in the algorithm. So, and that's fundamental across all platforms. There's certain types of engagements that might get more or less power in the algorithm, but engagement in and of itself is foundational, right? So if you're creating questions in the mind of your listener or viewer or follower, they're naturally going to say, ooh, tell me more. How does this work? Or where can I find more information? Or, ooh, okay, I'm curious, right? And it gets them commenting and interacting, which boosts the algorithm, which gets more eyes on it and more comments on it, which boosts the algorithm again. So it's like this wonderful kind of self-fulfilling cycle of engagement, but it only works if you create curiosity, create questions in their mind, because that's what makes people want to engage.
That's fantastic advice. And I love how you related to curiosity, creating curiosity, because that's an important question that I always put in front of myself, because we want to always be curious. The more we're curious, the more we're learning about those that we're marketing to. And when we learn about them, we can better help them because we know more about what their pain points are and what their aspirations are and everything in between. And we know how to market to them. And that's why we're here, is to help you market better to your audience. So great stuff. So that's attraction marketing. Mm-hmm. And what is value-based marketing, Adrienne, and how does that differ?
Yeah, so value-based marketing is something you can layer on top of attraction marketing. And in fact, you should, okay? So value-based marketing is really getting into the mind of your viewer or your follower, your listener, and speaking to both, I'm going to talk external and internal, okay? On the external side, you speak to, the wins that they want to be having, and a win is something that people can see it happening, right? People can say, oh, wow, look what that person just did, right? And then you want to help them avoid failures, right? Things that people can see, they can see and go, ooh, look what just happened to that person, right? So those are the external things, the wins and the failures. If you can speak to those wins that they wish they had, right? Like for example, if I was talking to entrepreneurs, because of course here you are, some of the wins you want, right? Like you want tons of engagement on your posts, yes, on your videos, on your content, likes, comments, tons of engagement, people having conversations, even if there was like full-on conversations happening in the comments. And it wasn't like arguments, we're not talking about arguments online or like people trolling you. We're talking like good engagement, right?
And the conversations are the key of it all, more than
right.
It's really the conversations. Yes.
Yeah. Conversation is key. Conversation is currency, in fact, right? Yeah. So imagine if just imagine for a moment, all of a sudden you start applying this attraction marketing and value-based marketing, and all of a sudden every single post you make, you're tracking the average number of likes and comments. And it's getting up in every single post, personal, business, doesn't matter, starts having 50, 60, 70 comments and likes. I mean, not only would that make you feel good, oh my God, people are finally loving my stuff, but everyone can see, right? Everyone can see wow, look at all the stuff going on Karen's post.
That's right.
Right. Mm-hmm. So that's a public win, right? Mm-hmm. Versus a public failure is people go to your timeline on whatever platform you're on or your page, and they see all these posts with no engagement at all.
Crickets.
crickets, right? So that's an example of like external wins and failures.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also need to learn to speak to the internal, the fears, right? An internal negative is like a fear, but an internal positive is a want. If you can learn to speak to the very secret, the very private wins, failures, fears, wins, and wants that your audience has, what you really want to do is create this feeling where people start, reading your posts or watching your videos, and they find themselves thinking, oh my God, I was just thinking about that the other day. It's like she's in my brain.
Yeah.
Like, how did she know that? Right? That's what you want them thinking. And because here's the magic thing that happens. We all as humans, we have this fundamental need to feel seen, heard, and understood.
Yes.
And that's really what social media is all about. It's millions of people begging to feel seen, heard, and understood, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can help them feel that way, if you help them feel seen, heard, and understood, and the understood part is key. If they find themselves thinking, oh my God, every time I see their content, it's like they're in my brain. Like, how did they know? How did they know that I was just talking to my husband about that the other day? How did they know that I was just talking to my coach about that? Like, it's like they're in my brain. Because then what happens is they start thinking, well, they understand me better than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
They can probably help me more effectively than anyone else because they get me.
Yes.
Right?
Relatability.
It's easy to make someone feel seen and heard.
Mm-hmm.
Easier, I should say. Easier.
Simpler.
The challenging part is making someone feel understood. And it's the internal stuff that you have to address, the stuff they don't say out loud.
Yes.
If you tap into that, right? This is this is what I would call the foundation of value-based marketing. Yeah. Because let me just give you like a quick little example. If I was talking about content creation, what I see a lot of online is like, hey, does content creation feel difficult to you? If you'd like it to feel easier, click here. It kind of falls flat.
Right.
Like, yeah, you're speaking to a pain point of content creation being frustrating, but there's not a whole lot there, right? But if I say, if you would love to have more engagement on every single post and video that you make, right? So that your entire network can see how much value you're bringing, right? And as a result, you get more and more clients begging to talk to you, hitting you up in the DMs, right? And then after you sell them your products, they're actually thanking you for selling it to them because it's finally giving them the transformation that they want.
Yes.
And if you want your content to do that, comment below and I'll let you know how. Lands totally differently, right?
Sure does. Yeah. And that's brilliant because, none of us want to be that icky salesperson. When we're doing it the proper way, when we truly are caring about the people, our listeners who are listening to us, and we're going about it in all the ways you just described. And I love how you talk about the importance of both the external and the internal, as well as the linkage between the value-based and the attraction marketing. When we do that really well, it isn't selling at all, it's helping. And they'll recognize, as you said, that you're the one that can help them. And that's where the conversation really begins and a potential enrollment that gets taken offline.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels different to you as the creator. Yes. It'll automatically feel more authentic to your heart.
Exactly. Has to be authentic. Oh my goodness. Yes. If it's not authentic, you're not gonna, people are gonna know it. They know.
Yes, they know.
It's gonna be somebody else. Yeah.
So the minute you start thinking through the other person's failures, fears, wins, and wants, and speaking to those, it'll feel authentic to you, but it will also feel attractive to them.
Yes. Yeah. And all these things that you are mentioning are so important. And it's also why when I'm working with my clients, I spend whatever we need to get into and really dig into the minds of that client's ideal prospects or ideal clients.
Exactly.
So really
Yes.
know how to market them in both an attraction and a value-based way. So good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you did mention, that all of this works no matter what platform you're on. And there are so many platforms. How does one decide? And we did talk about this a little bit in another interview, but we also have to hear things multiple times for things to sink in. And sometimes when they're said in a different way, they can actually truly be understood. And you said confusion earlier. Confusion leads to inaction.
Yeah.
Total inaction. So where should people be? All these platforms online. What do you recommend?
Yeah. So that's a great question. I'm going to answer it two different ways. Okay. First angle I put on that is the good news is that good marketing is good marketing and it'll work no matter where you put it. Okay. So once you build that fundamental skill, you can apply it anywhere you want and it's going to work. Okay. So that's the good news.
That's good news.
So if you found yourself jumping from platform to platform and being like, God, I'm not getting the results I want from Facebook. I think I need to try Instagram. Not getting the results I want on Instagram. I think it's time to try Pinterest. If you're platform jumping and not getting results, it's probably your marketing that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Right? Because good marketing is good marketing. It'll work no matter where you put it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that's the first answer. But the second answer is it depends on who you serve. So who is your audience? Who is your perfect or ideal client? And depending on how you answer that question, right? If your ideal client is a corporate professional, I would recommend LinkedIn, right? If your ideal client is, a young person in their 20s, maybe Instagram might be better for you, or probably even TikTok, right? So it just depends on who you're serving and where more of them are hanging out. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, good marketing is good marketing. So no matter where they are, you take those fundamental skills now of attraction marketing and value-based marketing and put it in the place where you think they're mostly hanging out. And it's going to do wonderfully.
Perfect. That's very clear. And we know that confusion leads to inaction. So now that you're clear, all you need to do is find out where your ideal clients are hanging out and truly go through the whole demographics of who they are, in addition to the whole emotional journey that we've been alluding to here. So do people need to create content for their marketing every day or every week? What are your thoughts about that, Adrienne?
Yeah, I get this question a lot of like, how often should I be creating content? And again, I have multiple answers. I'm so sorry. But it's a complicated question, right?
Yeah.
The answer is it depends. Okay. It depends on what kind of systems you're using. Okay. So I'm a systems girl, right? I teach skills, structure, and systems. So to me, it depends on the systems you have in place. And when I say systems, like system is such a vague word, right? Can we unpack that a little bit? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, actually, that's a great point because I was recently interviewed on a live show and someone asked me, what are systems? And I was kind of taken aback, but yeah, there may be many listeners here who don't know what systems are. So let's do that. What are systems? Because breaking it down into the most fundamental is very helpful to eliminate that confusion. So what are systems?
Right. Let's make sure we're all talking about the same thing, right? Like the number one time I see confusion come into play is when we're simply not defining terms. So I love that. Let's dive in.
Love words.
So to me, a system is just a repeatable series of steps that you execute to get from point A to point B. Okay. They could be manual steps in a process. Mm-hmm. They could be automated steps in a process. Right? It could be steps that are completed through an online platform. It could be steps that are completed physically in the space you're in. So it just depends. And so it's simply, like, most simply put, it's just a repeatable number of steps that you do over and over from the point that you start whatever your process is to ending that process.
Beautiful. And bringing it back to what you were talking about earlier with the internal and the external in the value-based marketing, bringing them from those places of fear that we all have, right? That we've been in and still go into from time to time, taking them all the way out to what are their dreams and their aspirations, their aspirational state. That process is where we build a marketing system.
Yeah.
So there are marketing systems, aren't there?
Oh, absolutely. And I do want to revisit like how often you should be creating content. But before we do, I want to talk systems a little bit more because Karen, I loved your example. That's perfect, right? When I sit down to write a post or to come up with like a loose idea for a live video, I systematize that process. I say, okay,
Right.
what's my end goal first?
Yes.
What's the thing that I want to sell or that I want to talk about, or where do I want to lead my traffic? Like, what's my end goal? Sometimes it's like just leading traffic somewhere. Sometimes it's making a sale. Sometimes it's wanting to connect in the DMs. But you have to know your endpoint first, which most people don't realize.
It's where you always start.
That's where you all start with the end.
You might not end up there.
So you start with where, the outcome that you want.
Yes.
And then I say, oh, okay, based on that outcome, now I'm going to systematize thinking through what are the failures, fears, wins, and wants I want to speak to. Jot down all my notes, all my thoughts on that. And then I know exactly what to say in that post or live video.
Perfect.
It's a systematized process of preparing to make a post.
That is excellent. And we have another speaker who talked about frameworks. Adrian's just given you a framework to create a marketing system, to create a phenomenal post for your ideal client. Voila, we're done.
Yeah.
Go home now.
Time to go home. But so let's unpack that a little further. So that's a very manual system, right? It's me sitting down and maybe like writing things in a notebook or something, right? Or you could do that too. But I use a lot of automated or semi-automated systems because honestly, we're all here because we're business owners, right? We're here to grow our revenue and grow our businesses. And if every single thing we do is manual, your income is going to be extremely limited because there's only so much you can do as one person.
Can't scale that way.
You can't scale when everything's manual.
Nope.
You will get stuck. I call that the manual hustle, the hustle and grind. I hate hustle. Goodbye to hustle. Okay.
But that leads to burnout. That totally leads to burnout and frustration, and where a lot of entrepreneurs stop. They stop and they never get beyond. So I love that you're talking about this. Keep going.
Yeah. So when it comes to coming up with the ideas themselves, because you do have to get in the heart and the mind of another person, that part should be manual, right? So going through the failures, fears, wins, and wants, you can't automate strategic thinking, right? So that part has to be manual. But from that point on, a whole lot of the content creation and scheduling and posting process can be automated or semi-automated. Yes. And it should be, or you're going to go crazy. Okay. So, and I want to save your sanity. Okay. Yeah. So from the moment that you have like the seed of the idea of what you want to talk about, what kind of content you want to create, just know that what I do, and what I teach is to systematize and automate, or at least semi-automate a lot of the rest of that process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now there's different levels or depths of automation you can go to. So I have a method, the content multiplier method that we're talking about here. At its core, I teach you how to take one video, turn it into 30 pieces of content across 9 platforms in 5 days. So even that statement on its own kind of creates a little curiosity, doesn't it?
Oh,
it's like,
sure. Oh, sure.
How do you do that?
Hey, we got our elephant ears on now because you're making our lives a whole lot easier.
Right.
So yeah, we want to hear more.
So I'm here to tell you that it starts with some manual strategic thinking, but a whole lot of the rest of it is either automated or semi-automated. Okay. And that's what allows you to create so many pieces of content. So if you're using the simplest, more of a beginner system, you could go through that process once. And depending on how often you're posting, 30 pieces of content to you might last an entire month. or it might last 2 weeks, depending on like how many times are you posting a day on average and on which platforms, right? So anywhere from, once every couple weeks to once a month. Now I've systemized my content creation process so thoroughly that I create content twice a year.
Oh my goodness, Adrian. Listening up? Everybody's listening up now. Twice a year. Oh.
It depends on like, I affectionately refer to myself as being kind of nerdy. I'm a huge nerd, you guys. So I started by like creating content twice a month, and then it was once a month, and then it was once a quarter, and now it's twice a year, because I've nerded out on it so hard that you know what I mean? But that's just kind of how I am. So that's why the answer to how often should you be creating content is kind of complicated. But the simplest answer I can give you is it depends on how thoroughly you've systematized and automated the process.
Yeah. And for people who may not be as familiar with automation, what are ways that we can automate? Just mention some simple ways that we can automate more specifically.
Yeah. So I think, and I go into all of this, of course, in my method that I teach, but I'll give you guys a few of the highlights that could, even if you just actioned them today, it could make your life like 20 times easier. Okay, so let's do that together.
Let's do that.
So one of the things I love to do, like go through the failures, fears, wins, wants exercise, come up with a topic you want to speak to, and do some sort of live video around it. Okay, and video is key. Video is key because if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth 1,000,000. And you can convey so much more in a much shorter period of time. And people get to know you faster through video. Like, of course, when we first started this interview, I was a complete stranger to most of you guys. But how many of you feel like you kind of know me a little bit now?
Yeah.
Like if I was to randomly call you on the phone, like maybe you'd want to talk to me, right? No. Like, I'm a real person. I'm not, right?
Who wouldn't want to talk to you?
That's the power of video. You just can't develop that kind of rapport through posts alone. Or even stories or reels. Like video is just so powerful in that way. So if you film a video, and it doesn't have to be long, maybe it's like 3 minutes, right? So take that fear out of there. We're keeping it simple, guys.
And just be you, right?
Yeah, just be you. So from that one video alone, what I love to do, one of my favorite hacks, is I upload it onto a website that allows me to get a transcript of the video. And usually, it'll spit these out for $10. You'll get it in an hour or two. So it's not like it's a super expensive thing to do. But now that you have that transcript, you can copy the entire thing and paste it into your blog, and you now have a fully written blog.
Beautiful.
Like, who here struggles with blog writing and you're like, oh, it takes me forever. Like, it doesn't have to.
Yeah. One of our most valuable resources is time. And what do you write about?
Yeah. And that saves you a ton of time. But also the reason the transcript is a huge part of like what simplifies this is there's going to be a lot of like really cool things you said throughout your video, right? Like even in this interview where I said like the key to attraction marketing is curiosity, right? We could pull that out as a quote, turn that into a quote image that then gets shared across whatever platform you want, right? Or you could copy and paste just little bits of that transcript, and that becomes the inspiration for the copy in the post that you're writing. Yeah. And when you get a transcript, like even a 3-minute video, you guys, is going to be paragraph upon paragraph upon paragraph of copy. And so if you're speaking to failures, fears, wins, and wants, it's going to be really good copy. And so now you grab little snippets of that, and it can become a dozen different posts. It can become 4 or 5 emails if you want. Like, use that copy all over town. Like, it's going out of style. Like, use it. You know what I mean? So
great advice.
That's one of my favorite hacks. Yeah.
That is great advice. And, a lot of times I'll ask the question, what are for people who just want to take what we've been hearing here and put it into action immediately? You've already heard it all. And hopefully you've been taking great notes here, because Adrian is dropping all sorts of wonderful frameworks and information to guide you on taking action. There's no excuses here, right? Shouldn't be any excuses for taking action and making some great social posts for your business today.
Yeah.
So how do people finally, how do they go about like leveling up their business and getting to the point where they can systemize content creation like that? I mean, I think you just really answered that question. Is there anything more that they should be doing?
Well, honestly, I mean,
right now,
we can only go so deep in an interview like this, right? So can I talk about the gift? Can I tell them? Okay.
Yes, and I just want to remind them too that, and you already talked in the very early part of this, how it's so important that we talk about the what's, right? And inspire that curiosity, probe and pull that curiosity, and the how gets answered in our programs. So that's what we teach, right?
Yeah.
It really gets answered because, you know, entrepreneurship and multiple 6-7 figures in a business, it's a journey. We don't get there overnight. So that's where we help with the coaching and the accountability and all of that. So yeah, so you're off the hook.
Yeah, awesome. So
let's talk about your free gift that you have for our guests.
Yeah, if you guys are hearing this and you're realizing that maybe the one piece that you're missing in terms of like feeling like you have a good balance of like work-life balance in your business, how much time you're investing for how much money you're getting in. If you're realizing that systematizing content creation is probably that missing link for you, right? And you want to know, like, clearly we've talked about what to do, not really a whole lot of the how, because that's the foundation of attraction marketing, right? If you guys want to learn the how, I have a free challenge. It's totally free. It's called the Content Multiplier Method. And over the course of a week, I get into the nitty-gritty of the how. Right. So like the transcript was like a little teaser of like, that's part of the how. But there's like 20 other nuggets of gold throughout this challenge where I literally unpack exactly how I do this. And I screen share. I show you guys how to use the tools I recommend. A lot of them are free, by the way, which is super cool, or very inexpensive.
Yeah.
And so I will show you the how to turn one video into 30 pieces of content. Okay. And so by the end of it, a lot of people, by the time they get to the end of the week-long challenge, they've already planned out anywhere from 1 to 3 months worth of content. And it's a fun one. It's a fun challenge to be a part of. So I invite you guys to join us so you can learn kind of the ins and outs of how to do, multiply your content and maybe get a little bit of breathing room back in your business.
Fantastic. That sounds like the perfect gift for our guests. And thank you so much for providing that for all of them today. And I could talk to you all day long. And I loved it. Even the first time we met, we had such a great conversation, and, you're a fellow Midwesterner. So I love that.
Yes. Karen and I clicked right away, you guys. And we're so on the same wavelength. She teaches some really good stuff. You guys are in good hands with Karen. So I'm just so excited that you included me in this. I know that this group, this audience is going to be a really good one. Like, I can't wait to interact with all you guys and just kind of answer any questions you might have and join the fun. This is great.
I know, right? Well, thank you. Yeah, we come from very similar backgrounds too, the corporate backgrounds and with structure and all that, but then have been both very successful as entrepreneurs as well. So fun. Okay, so I just want to let you guys know that Adrian's link is going to be found probably below the interview in the area where you somewhere in that vicinity. And so look for that and make sure you click on that and use it to start today. And then I'm just going to ask you, is there any final thought, Adrian, that you would really like to impart to our guests, or that you feel inspired to impart to our guests today?
I would just encourage you, soak in the goodness of these interviews. Set aside the time. Set aside the time to really watch them. Like, even if you're kind of binge watching, right? These types of sessions like this are so valuable. And especially if you're jotting down notes and taking action right away. So many people, they'll watch an interview like this or training like this, but then they don't take action. And if it's just entertainment, right? If it's just entertainment and you're not taking action, your business isn't going to move forward. So, I pick and choose of all the speakers. This would be my advice. Pick and choose the 4 to 5 that really spoke to you the most, right? And take action on what they taught you. If you try to take action on everything, you're going to get overwhelmed. So pick your top few that where you're like, ooh, this is for me right now, right? And take action within a week of the conclusion of this, and then take action on whatever it is that Karen does with you after the summit. I know that she has some amazing activities planned, of course. And she's good. So definitely link in with what she's doing and take action, because without it, it's just entertainment and you're not going to grow. And I want to see this audience. I would love to see so many people coming out of this being like, this was the catalyst that did it for me. Right. That's when it gets fun. So
yes, that's my intention. And I mean, thank you for your kind words. You're every bit as phenomenal, and your expertise, you're a top expert. And when it comes to systems, I mean, there's no other. So I hope everyone listening will join Adrienne's challenge and get what they need from a marketing perspective and get online. Just start, because what she said is gold. I'm going to repeat it. What Adrienne said is gold. Taking action is so important, and to do it within the first 24 hours, because there's a push-pull that happens kind of energetically, let's say. I don't mean to sound woo-woo, but it's very true. If you take what you hear and intend to put in action and actually do within that short period of time, you will be responded to in a favorable way. Let's just leave it at that.
Yes.
And so with that, thank you again, my dear new friend, Adrienne, and so appreciate all the value you've offered for our guests today. And as Adrienne said too, make sure you tune in for other interviews to come, and always have your pen and paper ready to take dubious notes that you can take action on in a minute. So thanks again for being here with us. See you soon.
Thanks so much, you guys.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Impactful Entrepreneurs Show with Adrienne Hill, where we support coaches, course creators, and network and affiliate marketers to translate their big picture vision into actionable plans to build out their business efficiently. If you love our show, we invite you to visit buildalifebydesign.com to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover more helpful resources. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and share. Thank you for listening.